Good evening, I'd like to call the Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioner meeting to order. Please all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, you may be seated. At this time, we're going to have swearing in of new police officers by the Honorable Judge Jim Lewis. Judge Chief Hoover, turn it over to you.
Good evening. That stood up at the altar. I hope that's not the case. Not a lot of
Jim, sitting there on the
There's a chair.
Right.
Where is it? He's at work. Sure.
see all the way. So we kind of change things up a little bit. We're gonna do all three at the same time. So whoever you want to have come up here with you. So on the side. Yeah, turn around, face that. Since you're in the middle, get a little closer.
All right. Raise your right hand. Do you, Tanisha M. Soto, Charles K. Parrott, and Michael D. Ferrara solemnly swear that you will support the laws and Constitution of the United States of America and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Code of Muhlenberg Township, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of the office of police officer to which you have been appointed? Do you so swear?
I swear.
I swear.
I swear.
Congratulations. I could stretch it out if you want.
Congratulations and welcome to Muhlenberg Township. We are very glad to have you with us. Marcy, point of order, an executive session was held by the board immediately before tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters. Commissioner Malinowski did attend remotely. He is traveling. He will not be at tonight's meeting. Commissioner Wolfner will also not be at tonight's public. Now it's time for public portion. This time for residents and taxpayers of the township. Comment on matters of concern, official actions and deliberations, which are or may be before the Board of Commissioners. If you wish to address the board, please sign in, wait to be recognized, and then we'll announce your name and address. And your comments, please limit comments to no more than 5 minutes. Tonight we have Mr. Paul Angstad of 3040 River Road.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. I was talking to the neighbors, I live down there in River Road where all the hassle was going on the last couple of weeks. The only question we have is the fishermen. There's people that fish the river all the time. Now you're gonna put that gate up. Are you gonna keep the fishermen out? I don't know what's, I don't know how long the gate's gonna be there or. It's I don't know, that's the only question I have is the fishermen that like to go down there and fish in the river. They've done for years, That's,
Yeah, I don't know that I have an answer for you, Paul. We've been dealing with this issue and, the board is very well aware that, the majority of residents who use that public space in good faith, are being penalized by, the minority who comes out
Yes.
and leaves the place absolutely in shambles. Obviously, there've been a lot of discussions, you can see some of the action that we've taken to try to curtail some of the activity that takes place down there that we don't want to see. Unfortunately, it doesn't penalize those people who utilize that area for pleasure. I don't have an answer for you right now.
okay,
Until we can curtail the activity that we want to stop, for the foreseeable future, that area will be closed.
okay, all right, thank
I welcome suggestions
you. Yeah,
from anyone. We have kicked around a lot of ideas and a lot of ideas are simply not feasible.
yeah,
Closing off areas of public access is certainly not an action that this board or any of our staff would like to see. But, for public safety and health safety, in general, we have to take some drastic action.
yeah, all right,
Yeah,
Thank you.
I understand your concern. Thank you. We also have Eugene Plum of 3048 License Bridge Road.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eugene Plum. I'm here for a matter. There was a permit granted, and first off, before I get into that, thank you for your work with the things that are going on by the river, because that's just ridiculous. Here is a surveyor, blueprint. There, I didn't print out enough of them for all of you. Of Plum Court. There was the permit that was granted on a right of way. The yellow highlighted area represents the right of way. The blue line represents the cow gate that the new resident just put up. There are 3 residents that live at Plum Court, the other 2 of which adamantly oppose this gate. The driveway initially is only big enough for 1 automobile. So, and one is an exit and one is an entrance. If there is a vehicle in one of the driveways, there is no way to enter that property. And with the traffic that leaves Stoutsbury Bridge Road or comes off of Bellevue, it never stops. They don't ever stop the stop sign, so it's almost impossible. You have to go around the block. Since he's put up that cow gate. But on the actual print from the county, I can email you if you like, where it designates, it says right on the top line, right of way. And that's why I'm here today.
Chip King,
Didn't we speak briefly about this? Is the gate on private property? It is.
The gate is on private property, but the blue line, in front of the blue line is part of Plum Court. So Plum Court wraps around the front of that specifically so something of this nature doesn't happen.
The actual driveway that you're speaking of.
Yes.
Is the actual person's property, they own that driveway. There's an ROW or right of way, they're showing the right of way as Plum Court, the entire Plum Court. Plum Court is established as those residents and the roadway in and out. That driveway is the existing property owners. The previous property owner came in and spoke to us, and actually the elderly woman wanted to do the same. She didn't want to upset her neighbors. She said everybody's using that driveway, so the new owner comes along, you're all using that continuously. And it's not for that, it's actually their property and deeded to their property. We
Okay,
actually have the deed, we spoke with the county, we looked at everything, zoning officer issued the permit. The gate's on private property, they have every right to gate that.
okay, it essentially stops traffic. And from what I've read with state law, after 20 years of use, it automatically becomes a right of way.
Yeah, so that's a private neighbor dispute, it's called adverse possession or prescriptive easement, but that's something that you would need to approach privately, it has nothing to do with the township.
Well, if the township wouldn't issue the permit in the first place, I wouldn't have to seek civil action.
Unfortunately, the township has to issue those permits when they're applied for on their own private property and they're meeting all the requirements of the township's code.
It was still erroneous, granted, because no one actually looked at where it said, it regardless of whether it's private, it may be. It is private property, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the line where it says right of way is on the side of that driveway.
Right of way is a continuation. If you look, it shows right of way around the entire pump.
So on the interior of that circle, on the bottom of it, it says right of way. And on the exterior of that circle, it says right of way, which encompasses that driveway.
And a right of way on someone's property doesn't forbid them from gaining their property or utilizing their driveway. You do not have a legal easement agreed upon all neighbors within that property to have that possession of that driveway. You have no legal right to use that driveway. The gate and the permit, the erroneous permit that you speak of, was issued for the gate in itself to maintain legal setbacks from Liza's Bridge Road. They have every right to put a gate there, whether they applied for a permit or not, it's on their property. They could have backed that gate far enough back, and it wouldn't even require it.
But that's essentially why the property was separated the way it was. That's why Plum Court wraps onto the top driveway. So that if you have, the easement is from one property to another property. So the beginning of that property is Plum Court. And the aft part of that property is Plum Circle, is Plum Court
But
as
you don't
well.
have an easement. You don't have a legal easement or binding agreement with that property owner.
I believe there is one. I haven't found the actual document yet, but I'm still looking.
Well, the latest and last house that was built there would have been presented that easement to utilize the same driveway that you speak of. And that owner was never presented to write or sign on to an easement to utilize someone else's property. It'd be a binding easement among all property owners within that court.
That's correct, it would either be part of the subdivision plan that was recorded or in the
And it's
deeds
not.
to the properties, and if the township looked at it and they're not there,
It's not there.
there's no easement.
You technically don't need an easement after it's been used after.
Well,
20 years.
that's actually a really complex area of the law, and there's a lot more factors than just 20 years, it's actually 21 years worth of use.
And it's more like 30 years of use.
Well, and that's an argument that you could make, but that would be a civil dispute between you and that property owner, it wouldn't involve the township.
So essentially, you want to use your neighbor's driveway.
You know, if the traffic would stop at South Ferry Bridge Road and we could actually enter and exit our property. It wouldn't be a problem. When somebody is entering or leaving out of the first driveway, you can't come in, period. It is a landlocked.
Really, I have friends who live right there. I visit, I've never had a
The
problem.
Kips
Yeah, it's-
are adamantly against the
Yeah.
gate too, because they use that driveway as well.
Alright, so what I understand is the township did its due diligence
That's
to
correct.
bring the permit.
That's correct.
It is private
It
property.
is.
There is no specific right for the other owners to use that property. And it is a civil matter for the other owners to take up.
Correct, yeah.
Jim?
Mr. Plum, if you would, just provide your phone number before you leave here.
Yeah,
tonight,
sure.
I can I mean,
Yeah,
we can certainly talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just need to verify that last one right here. And we can have further conversation.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the previous owner came in and discussed it with us back in 2013 and 2014, and they didn't want to upset the neighbors because everybody had been using it. The new neighbor purchased the property, didn't feel the same, I guess.
All right, Mr. Plum, I'm sure we'll have further discussion and, you know, we'll come up with some type of direction, one way or another.
I appreciate you hearing me. And thanks again for the action at the river.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else wish to speak under the first public portion? If not, we'll be moving on. I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda. Make a motion. Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. And bear with me, folks, I need to make sure I'm following my notes properly, because I don't get to do this very often. It is, it's very irregular that, Commissioner Malinowski needs to miss a meeting for business purposes. Under unfinished business, last month, we discussed, adopting resolution, 2024-3 prohibiting pets from Riverfest. The motion failed. And there was discussion among the commissioners to go back and look further at the request to ban pets from Riverfest, which I said that I would do, with the idea that we would be looking at amending, the resolution. Upon further discussion, with our Parks Director and our Chief of Police and getting further information from our Parks Board and our Police Department. They are still under the impression that the total ban on pets at Riverfest is the way to go. And I concur with those thoughts, for some of the reasons that we discussed before. We talked about the idea of limiting pets to a certain area and keeping them specifically off of the food court area, food trail. But in discussing that, it presents some additional issues. First, it just presents an issue in enforcing a partial ban. We're also afraid that we're going to irritate even more people than an outright ban, because now parties who are bringing over their pets are gonna have to be separated because somebody will go down to get food, while somebody else has to wait. And it congregates the pets into an area where we're trying to limit the number of pets. And it forces more pets into an area. So I am under the, my thinking is that, we go with rather than adopting a partial resolution ban, that we look to continue either a full outright ban on pets, as we had discussed at length at the last meeting, or we don't ban any pets. So I'm going to again make a motion, to adopt resolution prohibiting all pets from Riverfest in 2024. And hearing no second. Motion dies. Karen, I know that you have some verbiage, that we can publish to the public to try to curtail people, and some of the reasons why we'll make sure that we make that public. I do want to go on record as saying that, I think we do send mixed messages to our boards. When we take issues like the dog park conversation, and we want to put that back to the Parks and Rec Board for their input, and when we have their input, and we don't really consider it, and we have input from our officers who actually would be the ones enforcing these issues and have to deal with issues when they come up. I just think that sends a mixed message to our board, so I'm going on record to say that.
But one thing, I think Muhlenberg Township is a friendly animal place for our dogs down at the park. You don't ban no animals from any other function we have down there. And I understand that the food court lane, when you go down there, I was for that, but not ban dogs from reason that's down there. I don't want people to think that we're looking the wrong way with that park board on anything. We want to be safe in that, but that's my feeling, a lot of people's feelings too.
Understood. And I thank you for that.
I appreciate the conviction behind, wanting to ban dogs from the entire event. If it was revised, I would go with it. Unfortunately, I don't think that we would be doing our due diligence as elected officials if we only agreed with what other boards recommended. I might agree with one thing that they recommend, and on something else, I might disagree. And I disagree with this one, so I'm a no.
And so thank you for the conversation. Motion died, so we will move on. I need a motion to approve payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service. Make a motion. Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any motion to approve payment application one, final from Allen Myers Incorporated for work completed on the 2024 annual road paving project in the amount of $639,360.47.
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to revise the award of contract B of the 2024 road paving project to CMS LLC for work on the Schuylkill River Trail in the amount of $17,139.20.
Just to have dialogue or motion on this.
I'll second. So, Jay,
So we have an option here and an opportunity. So we received some grant funding to construct this portion of the Schuylkill River Trail that we are working on currently from Kelly's Lock to Laurel Run Park. In that the original scope of that grant application, it included only paving the portion 50 feet on either side of any road crossing. So at the start of the trail at Kelly's Lock, when it crossed over the driveway at Pioneer Grove, when it crossed over the second driveway at Pioneer Grove, when it crosses River Road, and when it abuts Laurel Run Park Drive. To do that work is this $17,139.20. If we wanted to pave the entire trail, which we had the motion to do at last month's meeting, we would have to come up with 50% of the cost of that work, which we can do in either in-kind labor as much as we can. We won't be able to come up with all of it, but we can do as much as we can, and the balance could be in cash. So we could pave the entire portion of the trail based on the motion that was made at the June meeting. The option here is to save $106,000. Well, really half of that, because half of it is in-kind labor. The other half is coming from the grant match, and to be able to pave the whole trail. So if we want to pave the whole trail, we could either vote, well, now at this point with a motion in a second, we would have to vote no. If we want to do just the portions on either side of any crossing, then we adopt this motion.
Yeah, my position is we put a lot of labor into this. It's a long-term investment. I think that we would be doing a disservice if we just put modified screenings and had to try to maintain it. Over the next 10 years, we don't know what that would look like. If we spend the money now and pay the entire thing, I think it's a better long-term solution.
yeah, I agree. We put a lot of time and effort into this. I mean, we want to put this trail, I mean, we either make it right, we want it to last. Counselor, can we amend this, or do we need to vote no on this and then put it on the August agenda?
Technically, they already voted
We
yes
never
on the
voted
other.
yes in June.
You, on paving the whole project, right? We already voted yes in June, so this would be, go ahead.
I was just to keep the record clean, if you want this to die, just vote no on it, and the prior motion where you voted yes to pave the whole thing would stand.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Nay. Motion fails. Jim, you have your marching orders.
Yes. Got that, Marcy.
That wasn't too complicated. Those are too complicated. All right.
Yeah.
I need a motion to authorize the chief of police to purchase a 2025 Ford Explorer from Union Holland Ford in the amount of $41,058.
Motion.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Just a comment to make, we will need another motion, for the upfitting of this vehicle. This vehicle, we don't expect to take delivery of until September or October of this year. So at the August meeting, we'll need another motion, for the upfitting, all of the equipment that we would need to have installed. We didn't have that information at the time, so in order to keep the dealership, moving in the right direction, we wanted to get the motion for the automobile itself.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments or questions? Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to authorize the township manager to execute the PennDOT sidewalk maintenance agreement for the Bellevue Avenue Bridge Replacement Project.
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Jim, I think we throw this to you.
PennDOT is replacing the Bellevue Avenue Bridge. I think they anticipate starting next year if they can keep their engineers on, schedule, on track. They want a pretty quick replacement on it, but one of the pieces that we asked for was a sidewalk to be included. And then, of course, we're responsible for the maintenance, no different than we are on any other state-owned bridge that has a sidewalk.
Are we looking at sidewalk on both sides or is it only
Just on the northbound
on the
side.
northbound side? Which is more than we have today.
Correct, correct, yes.
And for anybody that traverses that road, if you've ever crossed that bridge and somebody's pushing a bike or walking or carrying bags, it is extremely hazardous. It will be a long project.
They're talking a year or less, and they are widening as well, they are widening to 3 lanes, at the light as opposed to just 2, so.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Any other comments or questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any motion to approve a $1,575 sponsorship to the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance?
Motion. Second.
Comments or questions? I'll chime in here a little bit. I do know that the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance does an awful lot to promote business in the entire county. They are very vocal in their support of the rail service returning between Reading and Philadelphia. But there are a lot of small things they do. They do a lot of classes for business owners. They do, there are loans for businesses. They are very, very active in our community. I would be very proud to continue our support of the Alliance. I don't know if anyone else from our staff has dealings with them or would like to add anything.
But you hit the nail on the head, we do work with them quite a bit on redevelopment projects, they bring developers to the table as well.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve a $1,000 sponsorship to the Berks County Solid Waste Authority.
Make a motion.
Second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, volunteer firefighter tax credit discussion, Commissioner Hoffmaster or.
So I'll talk a bit about it.
School had it, Jim said.
Yeah, so the school, at last month's meeting, the school adopted a resolution to offer a credit, a property tax credit to volunteer firefighters. And I just want to bring it up for discussion, and we don't have a whole lot of information right now. We're waiting for the resolution from the district to, to see what they've proposed. And when we get that information, I'll share it with the board and we can have some further discussion in the following months, leading up to budget season to discuss reciprocating such another.
That would be for like 2025.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, that's right.
But, well, I think the school gets like 5 or 6, they're right out, it's just like that.
Yeah, there's 600 out there,
600.
tax credit.
So when we get information, we didn't get any of that data from the district yet, but when we do, we'll pick through it and share it with the board and we'll have some future discussion there.
And in my personal opinion, it's a very favorable thing to do, I think, for our volunteers. Over the last 5 to 10 years, we've talked ad nauseum, I think, about just how much it costs volunteer firefighters to obtain the training that they need just to be a volunteer. And the amount of time that it takes them away from their family for training and, to do their firefighting duties. I think it's the right thing to do to look at something So we'll await further information for budget discussion.
Yes.
Which will be sometime in October.
Yes.
You guys keep your calendars open for that. That's always an important meeting. Is there any other new business? No board appointments? No. All right, then it's time for the second public portion. If anyone wishes to speak at this time. If not, we will move on to the additional announcements and comments by our staff. Steve?
Oh, no comment this time.
Joe?
Nothing is well.
Jeremy?
We finished up the road project. It was very successful, very short, which was good. Especially doing George Street, so I hope everyone enjoys the smooth George Street coming here. Already working on next year, so you guys will soon see a list floating around. I do have some documents of a 10-year plan for everyone, and we can start maybe more of a group choosing on what areas we go to next.
That's it. Dawn? Cooper?
Yes, first of all, for everybody who doesn't know it, on Saturday morning, there was a cleanup organized by some citizens. Apparently, I don't know who started it, but anyhow, a lot of the citizens that live along the River Road area, especially near Kelly's Lot, got together with two of our commissioners. And our township manager went down into Kelly's Lot and cleaned up two pickup truck loads, roughly, for garbage. This last weekend, the police department developed an, as you say, no tolerance policy for all the prohibited activities, whether it was alcohol, trash, cooking with an open fire or grill. There was minimal activity on Saturday. Sunday, even despite the rain, we had quite a few people show up, including a bus from Brooklyn. Mr. Angstad, if I can speak to this. So even though the gate was closed at Felix Dam, or I'm sorry, at Jim Dietrich, that only prohibited people from actually driving down to the kayak area. Anybody who was walking the dog, wanted to fish, wanted to go in the river, as long as they didn't have grills, alcohol, food, or beverages, they were permitted to access the river for the entire length of River Road. The gate was closed predominantly to try and keep or hinder people from driving down to the kayak area and then unloading their coolers and everything else. It was an inconvenience to the fishermen and also to the kayakers, because if they got in there or got out, they had to walk those kayaks up to the Riverfest designated parking area by the ropes.
Yeah.
It definitely had an impact. How we move forward is, I hope I have some input in that, but that's a little bit worded as far as how we curtail future activities.
Thank you.
Other than that, thank you for the vote on the vehicle. Well, Saturday, we did have an arrest made for a stolen vehicle at Kelly's Lock and some drug possession. And on Sunday, we arrested a few people up at the lower lot of Felix Dam for some of the prohibited activities.
Thank you. Karen?
So I'll piggyback a little bit on what the chief said. Actually, when I was walking down the steps to come to this meeting, I got a call from the park attendants and said there's like at least 30 cars at Jim Dietrich. So is that gate supposed to be open during the week, or are we just closing it on weekends?
Guess we're closing it if there's 30 people down there.
Thank you.
Your jam is happening this weekend, so a little logistics on the gate issue with that event, and River or Reading Pride is also having on Sunday, so I talked to them about the issue and their need to station somebody at the gate to let their vendors in, and then once their vendors in to lock it, you know, so It is a ongoing issue. Riverfest volunteers are needed, so we're gonna start pushing that, so look in your emails for a chance to volunteer at Riverfest on whatever job duty you'd like to do, whatever day and time frame. Thank you in advance all for that.
Do we have opportunity for the public to volunteer? Is there a link on the website, right?
Yes,
So anybody,
and it is within our civic rec system that they can choose Riverfest, and we have it all lined out this year. Last year was a little lesson learned as we went kind of thing, but I think we got it ironed out.
It's been nice to see additional folks, like there were some new faces last year, so to everybody in the public, I mean, even if you have an hour to spend to help us at the fest, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Karen. Chief Luco.
I'll touch on our activity for June 2024, 102 calls per service for roughly for 6 months of the year, 596, or averaging about 100 per month, which is a little bit below average compared to last year, but that's great for the community, less incidents for us. I will also touch on for last week, we had our first 2 career firefighters start, one last Monday, the second one this month. So they're getting up to speed very quickly. So kind of bolster our coverage throughout the day, Monday through Friday, for 50 hours a week. So
Good to hear. Thank you. Jim.
Just to Ree's point, thanks to everyone that came out, was involved in the cleanup. It was nice to see that many people show up, for something like that. Also, there is no planning meeting this week. We hope to have another meeting in August. We should have some new items for the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes. Thank you, Chief. Well, guys did a great job this past weekend out there.
Thank you.
This past Friday night, me and Dylan got sponsorship for volunteer fire people at the Great Philly Event Center. And there were close to 60 people show up. And the money we got from Judy Schwenk gave us some money, Jackie Resnick ran for state representative, and Dutch Main Bakery. And Kelsey, thank you again for the donation. And JV Prescriber gave us money too for that. That was nice for paying for the volunteer fire with the family out there for the night. And Superintendent Muhlenberg said he would like to add another police at the school this year. He will sit down and talk to you, because the new law in Harrisburg, you have to have a security guard at the school. They said they don't have enough money to put another one in, that they will pay for the whole thing. That's helped the school out 100%. He said he knows that old man now.
Well, hopefully with the new 3 that got sworn in tonight, once they're on board, I'll make the argument, we definitely need more. But we would have adequate staff to be able to do that, so.
Right, that's what he said. He said that helped the school district out 100%.
It did, and one of the unrealized expectations, at least from my part, was just the pure amount of calls that those 2 SROs are handling in the school district now. Greatly frees up, if you will, that zone car.
Right.
That wasn't constantly having to respond to all the different schools. And some of the problems that per se created was each individual officer handles situations a little bit differently, although within the parameters that they can. And by having designated SROs at the school, it's basically that same level of response to all the incidents. So the teachers become familiar, the parents become familiar, and even the kids, which is just another added benefit to having them there. So
Yeah.
thank you for this.
You go out and read that report, one police wrote, the kids were scared of the police when they first came there. They became friends.
Right.
They feel comfortable now going to school with the police officers there.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cerulli.
This Saturday is the 4th annual Jared Rothenberger Memorial Softball Tournament down at Jim Dietrich. Jared Rothenberger was an employee of our Public Works that passed away at the young age of 34 from cancer. So every year we raise money for his 2 daughters. They have a college loan at Diamond Credit Union. That's where the money goes. if anybody's free and you wanna come down and support the concession stand, that would be awesome, but it's a very successful softball tournament, I think it's for a good cause. And Jared was a great asset to this township and we miss him very much, so that's all.
Sure, time, did you say time?
It's 8 to 6. Championship game should be by 4:35.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Where's the concession stand gonna be? Like
So-
pavilion two or?
It's the Steve Landis Pavilion, is that pavilion two? Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So then we utilize field 1, field 2, and the Legion Field. 9 teams come out. We have yeah, it's a good turnout, so be nice. Karen, thank you for your help with everything involving that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it this time, but go ahead.
All right, obviously, there's a lot going on in our township. It's nice when we get to recognize our firefighters. Thank you, Commissioner Hopmaster, for spearheading that. It was wonderful to be able to swear in, 3 new officers in public. I did get to attend the graduation ceremony at the academy, and the invitation to Chief Hoover. And it was really impressive to see young people coming out and dedicating their lives to the protection of our lives and our property. So that was good. A lot of discussion tonight about activities down at the river. We know we have a problem. You know, Muhlenberg welcomes people. We want all sorts of people to come and see our beautiful parks and all that we have to offer, and it's become part of our community. But like everywhere, you know, we are a community of laws and order for a reason, so that we can all partake in these things and we can all be safe. And the total lack of respect of our ordinances and our laws and the direction that we'd like to take, and just the total disrespect for people and property, it just bemuses me to no end and befuddles me. I really don't understand it. So we are working diligently to try to find a fix for this. And I don't know that there's an easy answer. I mean, it's a bigger problem, and it's not just a Muhlenberg problem. But, you know, we certainly welcome input from the public. And with all that we've seen take place in the last few days, you know, I can only echo the sentiments that say we all kind of need to be able to respect each other's opinions, even when those opinions differ, without taking to arguing and violence. So on that note, I hope you can all do your best to stay cool, be safe, and if no argument otherwise, we are adjourned.